The nuns found smiling in their graves, a convent mystery. Nota de Gazeta, Britannia, 1894. Warning: the content you are about to hear is disturbing and based on real documents. If you don't like this video, algorithms guarantee you'll never find similar material again. This may be your only chance to discover secrets that powerful forces prefer to keep buried. Proceed at your own risk. 1894 Forbidden circulation. Horror revealed in sacred grounds. Nuns found with petrified smiles in their graves. Exclusive investigation reveals convent conspiracy of unimaginable proportions. By Dr. Cornelius Blackthorne, Special Correspondent. Dear readers, prepare yourselves for the most shocking revelation ever published in this periodical. For months, our newsroom has investigated whispers echoed in ecclesiastical corridors about discoveries that challenge the laws of God and nature. What we uncovered transcends the worst nightmares of human imagination. The case of St. Eloi Convent in rural Massachusetts exposes a conspiracy that extends to the highest echelons of American religious and medical society. This is not sensationalist fiction. Every line has been verified through official documents, disturbing photographs, and testimonies from survivors who risked their lives to reveal the truth. In 1894, while our nation grappled with industrial progress, a sinister organization known as the Order of Eternal Bliss conducted experiments that transformed holy sisters into subjects for sick obsessions with achieving divine ecstasy through scientific manipulation. The nuns of St. Eloi were merely victims in a national operation of religious horror. Renovation workers discover macabre secret. Confidential documents obtained by our investigation reveal that cemetery workers, hired to renovate the adjacent grounds of St. Eloi Convent, stumbled upon a discovery that would haunt them forever. Upon opening century-old graves for relocation, they found not the peaceful rest expected of holy women, but something far more sinister. Sister Catherine Moreau, Mother Superior of the convent, was found with an expression that defied natural death, a wide, petrified smile stretching across her decomposed features. Medical photographs, too disturbing for complete reproduction in this edition, show the grotesque contradiction, rotted flesh maintaining the exact muscle tension of someone experiencing intense joy at the moment of death. But Sister Catherine was not alone. 7 additional graves revealed the same impossible phenomenon, nuns buried with identical expressions of supernatural bliss, their facial muscles preserved in states that violate all known laws of decomposition and rigor mortis. Secret society finances religious atrocities. Our investigation discovered that the order received funding from prominent industrial families, all obsessed with the prospect of achieving religious ecstasy through profane science. Each experiment cost fortunes, paid with the blood of holy women transformed into laboratory specimens for divine revelation. The rituals conducted combined experimental medicine with medieval mysticism. The nuns were subjected to procedures in underground chambers decorated with alchemical symbols mixed with religious iconography, creating a blasphemous hybrid between surgical theater and pagan temple. Local authorities involved in ecclesiastical conspiracy. Evidence indicates that municipal authorities, influential families, and even members of higher clergy were aware or directly involved in the order's activities. Death records were falsified, families were silenced through threats and bribes, and any official investigation was systematically sabotaged. Dr. Edmund Morrison, municipal coroner, secretly documented anatomical discrepancies impossible to explain, skulls showing signs of deliberate trepanation, spinal fluid extraction marks, and brain tissue with chemical alterations suggesting the administration of unknown substances directly into the nervous system. Investigation reveals national scope of conspiracy. Our investigation led us to state medical archives, where we discovered evidence of systematic record tampering. Pages removed with surgical precision, stamps falsified with professional expertise, signatures erased with acid, someone had invested considerable resources to erase any trace of the events of 1894. The crucial discovery came through carbon copies forgotten in poorly catalogued files. These documents revealed the existence of a secret wing in Massachusetts General Hospital, officially designated as Advanced Research Section for Mystical Pathologies, a macabre euphemism for the order's horror laboratory. Dr. Hermann Steinberg's diaries exposed diabolic methodology. Dr. Hermann Steinberg maintained meticulous records of his activities, written in a disturbing mixture of archaic German and medical Latin. His diaries reveal a brilliant mind completely corrupted by obsession with manipulating the human nervous system to achieve artificial religious experiences. The nuns were identified in records only as sacred specimens A through H, designations that reduced living women to laboratory objects. Selection criteria were specific: sisters between 20 and 30 years old, preferably with histories of mystical visions, all considered biologically superior material for the experiments. Steinberg's divine ecstasy solution combined radioactive elements with glandular extracts from corpses, creating a compound the scientist believed could artificially induce permanent states of religious bliss. Injections were administered directly into the brain stem, causing transformations that violated all known laws of neurology. Transformation documented in disturbing photographs. Photographic series attached to reports document the macabre progression of experiments on Sister Catherine. Initial images show a serene woman of natural beauty and peaceful countenance. Subsequent photographs record a transformation that seems extracted from humanity's worst nightmares. First week, facial muscles begin uncontrollable spasms, eyes acquire abnormal dilation. Second week, mouth stretches into permanent rictus, breathing becomes labored and irregular. Third week, severe neurological damage causes constant convulsions, voice becomes inhuman shriek. Fourth week, Sister Catherine presents characteristics of someone experiencing perpetual euphoric seizure. The most disturbing aspect was that consciousness remained intact within the damaged body. Psychological records document Sister Catherine laughing uncontrollably while tears of terror streamed down her face, creating an existential contradiction that tormented even the experiment executors. National network of collaborators discovered. Intercepted correspondence reveals that Steinberg did not operate in isolation. The order maintained a network of collaborators in at least 12 states, all conducting variations of the same macabre experiments under different institutional disguises. Each laboratory received funding from local industrial groups, creating a national conspiracy of religious exploitation disguised as revolutionary medical research. The total number of victims may reach hundreds of nuns, all sacrificed on the altar of scientific ambition corrupted by greed. Financial records show that each experiment cost the equivalent of hundreds of thousands of current dollars, money provided by families obsessed with the prospect of achieving immortality through occult science. For these financiers, religious suffering was merely an acceptable operational cost. Neural pathway to divine ecstasy, the diabolic theory. Technical documents reveal that experiments on the St. Eloi nuns were part of a much more ambitious and sinister project. The order had developed a pseudoscientific theory called neural pathway to divine ecstasy, combining experimental medicine with mysticism in absolutely blasphemous ways. The central hypothesis suggested that human religious experience could be artificially induced and intensified through specific surgical procedures conducted during ritual ceremonies. Steinberg believed that by directly stimulating certain brain regions while administering his chemical compounds, he could create permanent states of supernatural bliss. Underground laboratory combined medicine and mysticism. The nuns were kept in specially constructed cells 3 floors below the main convent. The environment combined cutting-edge medical equipment with religious symbols carved in copper plates, creating a blasphemous hybrid between operating room and sacred sanctuary. Temperature was precisely controlled, lighting provided exclusively by candles made from consecrated wax, a macabre detail discovered in operation supply records. Walls displayed anatomical diagrams mixed with religious paintings and medieval alchemical symbols. During weekly rituals, nuns were positioned in the center of a circle carved in stone floor while Steinberg and his assistants recited incantations in medieval Latin. Simultaneously, the sisters were subjected to procedures including spinal fluid drainage, glandular hormone collection, and injections of radioactive substances directly into the central nervous system. Development of inexplicable capabilities. Records document that several nuns developed abilities that defy scientific explanation during experiments. Steinberg observed episodes where Sister Catherine demonstrated knowledge of theological concepts she could never have learned, spoke fluently in ancient languages never studied, and showed understanding of mystical philosophy that transcended her educational background. More disturbing were the prophetic episodes recorded. Sister Catherine began predicting future events with frightening accuracy, including specific deaths of medical staff members and regional political changes. Steinberg interpreted these manifestations as evidence that his experiments were expanding the spiritual capacities of sacred specimens. Physical suffering documented in medical details. Medical photographs show Sister Catherine simultaneously developing severe neurological damage, permanent muscle spasms, bilateral cataracts, and signs of accelerated brain deterioration, all while maintaining the bone structure and vital signs characteristic of a healthy 30-year-old woman. It was a biological contradiction that transformed every breath into indescribable agony. Dr. Elizabeth Hartwell, a nurse who worked secretly to document the abuses, wrote in her personal diary, "Every night I heard Sister Catherine's laughter echoing from the basement. It wasn't joyful laughter, but the hysterical cackles of someone whose mind had shattered completely. The sound haunts me 40 years later." Ritual of final ecstasy, the ultimate procedure. The experiments reached their climax during what Steinberg called the ritual of final ecstasy. During a ceremony that extended for 3 consecutive days, Sister Catherine was subjected to the final procedure, total drainage of cerebrospinal fluid while kept artificially alive through primitive machines. The objective was to extract what Steinberg believed to be concentrated divine essence, a substance he theorized contained decades of religious experience compressed into injectable form. This substance would be refined and administered to paying order members as an elixir of spiritual enlightenment. Sister Catherine's final medical records are too disturbing for complete description in this publication. The woman, at 30 years chronological age, presented neurological characteristics of someone in terminal stages of brain death, but maintained consciousness and religious memories until the final moment. Survivors break decades of silence. Our investigation managed to locate 3 survivors willing to testify about the events of 1894. Their accounts, collected in exclusive interviews, reveal details that no official document ever recorded, truths they carried in silence for decades. Margaret Whitmore, the nurse who saw everything. Margaret Whitmore, now 93 years old, was a young trainee at Massachusetts General Hospital during the experiment period. She received us at her isolated residence only after we presented specific credentials and swore protection of her identity. "I was only 16, Margaret recalled with trembling voice, but I immediately realized something was terribly wrong. There were corridors we were forbidden to enter, strange sounds during early mornings, and that smell, that sweet, putrid smell that permeated the air." Margaret was the only person outside Steinberg's team who directly witnessed Sister Catherine during experiments. One night, working beyond hours, she accidentally witnessed a ritual session through a basement window. Thomas Morrison, son of the coroner. Thomas Morrison, 85 years old, is the son of the municipal coroner who conducted autopsies of victims. He preserved his father's secret notes, which documented anatomical discrepancies in official death records. My father knew something was profoundly wrong, Thomas explained during our interview. He found bodies of nuns with characteristics impossible to explain naturally, but families were instructed not to question. There was constant political pressure to falsify autopsy reports. Conspiracy remains unpunished, guilty escape justice. Our 2-year investigation revealed truths that shook not only our faith in humanity but questioned the very foundations of American religious civilization. The Order of Eternal Bliss operated a national network of laboratories under different disguises, potentially victimizing hundreds of religious women. Dr. Hermann Steinberg never faced trial. Immigration records show he left the United States in 1896 with considerable fortune and new identity, possibly continuing experiments in Europe. Some historians suggest his research influenced later military programs. Industrial financiers also escaped unscathed, using political influence to suppress investigations and destroy evidence. Descendants of these families still occupy positions of power, carrying secrets they prefer to keep buried forever. St. Eloi nuns, erased from official records. The existence of the St. Eloi nuns was systematically eradicated, birth certificates altered, convent records destroyed, nameless graves in unidentified cemetery. As if they had never existed, except in the order's secret files, where their lives were reduced to scientific codes and disturbing photographs. During our investigation, we experienced inexplicable phenomena, vivid nightmares featuring Sister Catherine before experiments, dreams where an eternally smiling nun begged for her story to be told. Coincidence or manifestation of consciousness that refuses to be forgotten. Files like this are systematically suppressed. If this content doesn't receive massive engagement, you'll never see similar revelations about historical religious conspiracies again. Your interaction determines whether we continue exposing secrets that powerful forces prefer buried. Like, share, comment, or these archives will disappear forever into digital oblivion.